As you listen to La Boheme, let me just remind you of a few things that might be useful to you. The first is that you, of course, are listening to a full orchestra. The orchestra has several duties. One is to accompany the singers and the action. It does this rhythmically and melodically to some degree. It also furnishes a certain kind of musical environment for the characters to develop in. It will tell you whether the weather's hot or cold, if it's raining or not. It can even indicate night or daytime. So it is a very complementary environmental influence. It can even describe storms. One of the most famous ones is in the final act of the final scene of Verdi's Rigoletto, down by the river outside of Verona. And finally, its most subtle and profound use is that of characterizing, that is, indicating the internal world and values and emotions of character in the most intimate of moments. I will take great pains to explore this with you in Mimi's aria, where Puccini does magical things. But he does many magical things with his score. And the subtleties of orchestration, the different instruments he uses, their colors, the way he takes the four choirs, strings, reeds and woodwinds, brass and percussion, and plays with them in various ways, mixes various colors together. It's quite wonderful. Remember that every composer develops their orchestral language, this multiplicity of colors and rhythms and so on. Strauss is extraordinarily complex in this regard, Richard Strauss. Now the voices themselves, as you listen to them, remember that dialogue in operas moves very quickly, and it's in recitative, either secco or accompagnato. In Verdi, it's primarily, we'll get to Verdi in a little while, it's primarily secco. And then there is the poetry of text, which becomes the text of arias and various kinds of intimate ensembles. So we have dialogue and poetic verse. Now, soloists, and you'll remember, each kind of character, male or female, has a particular voice. Young lovers are almost always sopranos and tenors. Secondary characters like Musetta and Marcello will be baritones, and sometimes mezzo-sopranos. But in fact, in the case of Mimi and Musetta, both are lyric sopranos. The voices are asked to do very different things, but they're the same kind of voice, and they are the same type of person to a certain degree. That is, they have the same occupation. Okay, so, and the soloists will generally, and this is true of every one of the Bohemians, they have an arioso, or a major aria, for themselves. Now these arias, you will remember, one of my theses of the course is that arias define character better than most anything else in opera. And this sort of dedication makes the aria a very special tool. We'll talk more about that in Carmen, but it's terribly important. Remember that the chorus, which is an ensemble instrument, is also, in many ways, part of the environment, the social environment. And like a Greek chorus, the chorus in an opera will, they really represent you, the audience. So, all this is going to be coming at you, hot and heavy, but the particular use of the orchestra in opera is a major factor in making this the greatest art form. Thanks.